Hello, everyone. This is What's New in VoIP. My name is Fabrice, and this is the QR code that you can scan to ask your questions at the end of this presentation. I also made it an easy link for you, odoo.com/r/OXP25 VoIP. Every year, the marketing team asks us to start our presentation with the business benefits of the topic we're going to cover, but I think that everyone in the room knows what a phone is and what the business benefits of phone calls in companies are. So I'm going to skip that part. But what not everyone in the room knows is that VoIP signifies phone calls over the internet. And that's the reason why we changed in Odoo 19 the name Odoo VoIP into Odoo Phone. And we made an app for it on the Odoo's start page and a new icon. And as usual, you can find also the access to your soft phone at the top. So let's dive into the new features of Odoo Phone in version 19. And we'll start with something that might seem as basic, but that was very needed. It's such a better UI and user experience. Exhibit A, on your left, version 18, and on your right, version 19. It's much more beautiful, it's much more appealing. In this example, the recent tab with the recent call cards. And what do we have when we click on one of those recent call cards? We'll find the classic information about the call that took place, but also first what we call smart button. Those are the buttons that will link to existing related records to the contact. So things like the contact itself, leads, opportunities, help desk tickets, subscriptions. So the kind of related records that you would want to have access to if you work in departments like sales team or support team or anything like that. We also have another type of buttons. Those are the buttons to create new related records, like creating a new lead or a new activity associated with this contact. And finally, we also have action buttons to quickly send an email or text message to this contact. A second example of such a much better UI in version 19 to the right. During a call, the soft phone will look like something like this, a much more modern look, like you would expect in your latest versions of Android and iPhone, with a more efficient use of the space or action buttons at the bottom, clearly labeled and much less risk of misclicks. Now, what happens when we click on this new phone app? We just see a list view of our call log, at least the call log of the user who's connected. But really the power of this is that it now gives us the Odoo search bar capabilities on our phone calls and our phone logs. So all the search capabilities will be very handy to find previous calls very quickly. And in addition to the list view, we also have added the ease of reporting that brings that the calendar, graph, and pivot views can bring. So we can really slice and dice the calls, and more importantly, even a manager or supervisor can use those reporting tools in order to slice and dice the calls of their team members. We've also added more integrations between Odoo phone calls and the rest of the Odoo apps. So we have direct links to the leads, the help desk tickets, the subscriptions, and other records in other apps that would be associated with this contact. Another feature we've added to Odoo Phone is a new phone status. You can now choose between whether you want to be available or in Do Not Disturb mode. The Do Not Disturb mode is going to keep your soft phone silent. Now, if you happen to be on the tab of Odoo when you receive a call, it's still going to display, but it's going to be silent. in case you're busy on something different. And it is to be noted that this status is different than the Odoo Discuss status. So if you want to be seen as available in green to your colleagues or on the live chat, all the while having your phone in Do Not Disturb, that's something you can do. We've also added a new way to search. So you're all familiar, of course, with searching for a contact by their phone numbers, even if it's the middle of the phone number, like in the first panel, or by letters, of course. But if you are my age or older, you might remember what a T9 search is, and that's when you want to search for a name with digits. So in that case, in this example, the way you're going to find Douglas is to find the digits corresponding to the letters. The 3 for the D, the 6 for the O, the 8 for the U, the 4 for the G, and Odoo is going to also bring that results up, in addition to maybe others, if there is a match. By popular demand, I'm very happy to announce that we have now added a recording capability in Odoo Phone. That was probably our number one biggest request. And this capability works independently from the provider or VoIP host that you are using with Odoo VoIP. What does it look like? It looks like this. When you enable the recording feature, you're going to see the recording pill in the middle of your soft phone. The recording feature is configured by the administrator for all users, no users, or some users. And the administrator can also decide if a user can have the control to turn it on and off or cannot have that control. So it means it can be forced enabled or forced disabled, or up to the user to decide and to control when to turn it on and off. When the user has access and has the control to turn it on and off, he or she can click on the record button here at the bottom to turn it on at any moment of the phone call, and can stop it also at any moment of the phone call, and can restart it later at any moment of the phone call. So we can turn it on, off, etc. at any time during the phone call, and we're going to record what's, of course, the portion of the calls while it was on. It's also to be noted that the recording is taking place locally in the browser, and it's at the end of the phone call that it gets updated to your server. So at no point in time does it touch any other server, and turning on the recording feature is done silently. There is no vocal announcement. At the end of the call, the recording file is added to the chatter of the phone call in a WebM file or an MP3 file, depending on your browser or your operating system. And you will see it right there in the chatter. Another capability we have added to Odoo Phone in version 19 is the transcription capability, also by popular demand. And again, it works independently from the provider or the VoIP host that you are using Odoo Phone with. What does it look like? When it's turned on, you will see this transcribing pill in the middle of your soft phone during a phone call. This capability is configured by the administrator, and either for all users or no users or some users, but the users do not have the control. So it can either be forced enabled or forced disabled, depending on the users and based on the configuration of the administrator. The way the transcription service works is that the audio is uploaded to the OpenAI API, and which applies the transcription and retrieved by Odoo afterwards. At the end of the phone call, the transcription text appears on the phone call record here at the bottom, and we also create a nice, easy-to-read summary that you might have seen in the list view when we were on a previous slide. It's very useful because those are fields and they are also searchable, of course. Then we've also made improvements to our transfer feature. And again, it works independently from the provider or the VoIP host that you are using Odoo Phone with. We used to do blind transfers, which is very simply the fact of selecting a recipient and to immediately send the caller to the recipient, transfer them, and get out of the call. That's a blind transfer. We've added the capability of attended transfer. What does it look like? When you click on the transfer button, you see the first screen. You get a list of your contact list, and you have the ability to click the transfer, that green transfer button, to any contact you want, or to get into the keypad and type in a number. Then, once we have selected Abigail, you get to choose between a direct transfer or an ask first, so an attended transfer. If you click on ask first, you get to the third panel where you start your conversation with Abigail to see if she's available and if she's ready to take the call, all the while the initial caller is waiting. So you will see Gemini Furniture is on hold there while we make sure that Abigail can take on the call. And if she's ready, we can finally click the confirm transfer button there at the bottom in order to connect the caller with the recipient and remove ourselves from the call. We've also made improvements to more granular access rights. So you can see the access rights around Odoo Phone in 4 different tiers. We have first a regular employee who will have access to their own calls when they go to Odoo Phone. The employee's manager will have access to their own calls and to their team members' calls, and the manager is set up on an employee form view. We've introduced a VoIP officer role who has access to all the calls of everyone, and the VoIP administrator who has access to all the calls as well as the settings of the VoIP phone app, the Odoo Phone app. I'm also happy to announce that we've added a new supported provider. We used to be tested and support Axivox and OnSIP, and we are now introducing a new provider called DWW that also works out of the box with standard Odoo Phone. Now it's time for a demo. It wouldn't be a great Odoo presentation without a demo. I promise we're not going to spend 10 minutes making phone calls. So let's see what we can do. I'll start quickly with a transfer. So I'll bring my soft phone here at the top right. I'll select someone. I'll call Brandon. It rings. He picks up. And I'm going to transfer him to, let's say, Edwin. I get to click transfer. I will ask Edwin first if he's available. It's calling Edwin. Edwin picks up. All the while, Brandon is on hold. Edwin is ready to take the call, so I'm going to transfer Brandon to Edwin. And just like that, they are now in a conversation together, and I'm removed from the call. Now, because we have some more time, I would like to finish this demo with a little trick to show you. So this is a very simple installation with Odoo Phone, and I have here my call log, and I'm going to get in one, Start Studio, and drop an AI field in my call. And let's say it's a selection, and I'm going to add values. Smiley face, frowny face, and neutral face. And you might already see where I'm going, because I'm going to add a prompt that says, based on the phone call transcript below between our support person and a prospect, fill this field with the corresponding emoji, smiley face. If the customer was satisfied, was not satisfied, or if it's hard to tell. Now here it would be the example of if those transcripts would make sense in a support environment, but you can imagine depending on the environment that you're evolving in and using Odoo Phone with, you could change this, and I'm gonna find the transcript. And now that it's a field, I can specify the transcript here. I insert and I add the field. And I'm gonna call it sentiment. And just like that, if I enable AI, I have a sentiment analysis in just a few clicks in 1 minute configuration. And it works everywhere. And when I go back to my calls and to my graph view, I can just quickly and simply look at my sentiment analysis. And just like that, I will have a very quick and easy reporting on the satisfaction of my customers based on the transcripts. And that's it for this presentation and what's new in Odoo Phone. This is now time for your questions. Again, here's the QR code. Scan and feel free to ask. Thank you, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for VoIP sharing the VoIP features. First question. Is this transcription done through OpenAI? Secure so none of the transcription data is added to the model, to the OpenAI model.
I believe so, but I would have to double check.
Second question. How can I connect Odoo VoIP to our landline?
You have to use the SIP protocol of your provider, and if by landline what you mean are your desk phones, you would have to configure the SIP configuration of your desk phones with the SIP endpoint of the provider you're using.
Thank you for that. When transferring calls, who is seen as a caller in the call logs?
It is the actual person who calls. So in my example, when I was calling Abigail to see if she was available, she would see me. So she would see that her colleague is calling her. Yeah, but if it's a direct transfer, she would see the initial caller.
So that's why today I was. Can you use Gemini instead of OpenAPI for transcription?
At this time, no. The OpenAI API connection is hard-coded in Odoo Phone.
For VoIP, can we set up our own provider?
If you want to get into the VoIP business, you can. So maybe a few points on this. The reason why it was important for me to tell you that an additional provider is available is because it is not common to find a VoIP provider that provides WebSocket access to their SIP servers. The majority of VoIP hosts do not provide this. So the three that I've mentioned here do, and they are tested and supported with Odoo Standard. But if you have a provider that only has SIP endpoints, it will not work with Odoo Phone. So it depends on the provider, and you have to qualify them.
Is there a feature to mass download all recordings?
Yes, you can. So the recordings are files in the chatter, and those are called attachments. So you can have access to all the attachments, and if you filter them according to the proper model and with the filter that you want, it could be all phone calls. You can have access to those in the attachment menu in the settings.
Thank you for those answers. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.